What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the round 4 recap of the South Georgia Winter Chess Classic in Tifton, Georgia, held at ABAC, an agricultural college. Um, Time control 30 minutes. If you've seen my other games, you know that up to this point I'm 3 for 3. My opponent here, Erman, is also 3 for 3. He's beaten some pretty good players, including the president of our own chess club. Um, in round 2, and that kind of worried me because I kind of watched the game and I didn't, and then I watched his third game after after I beat Ryan, and I was getting worried. I was like, man, I know I'm gonna have to face this guy because we were the last two at the top of the standings. We were both the last two undefeated. Going into round 4, we were both 3 for 3, and I got the black pieces. He got the white pieces. Um, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, especially after he played d4. He played d4, and immediately in my head I went, England Gambit. But I was like, no, this guy's too good for that. He will absolutely destroy me if I play the England Gambit, especially the line where I sacrifice my queen for 2 pieces, and and he just knows what to do. So I was like, all right, we need to play super solid. And I was like, all right, I'll play the King's Indian Defense. And I looked at my board, and I looked at the board, and I went, I don't remember the first move. But eventually I remembered it is knight f6. I was thinking like d6. I was like, is it g6? I was like, it's some sort of knight move. And I was like, I don't remember. But then I was like, oh yeah, knight f6. Of course, I was a little flustered for this opponent because he was being real good. He was playing well, and as you can see, after the tournament, his rating was 1394, whereas mine was only 1283. Yes, that does mean I did take a loss. He also took a loss, but he plays the Queen's Gambit, and I continue with my prep. Knight bd7, and he plays knight f3, and then I play this little pet line that my coach once showed me, and that was to play c5. Now, if he takes, I'm going to take back with him my knight and have an active knight out here. If he does something like this, I'm not too worried about it. I just go back, and I argue he's overextending on the queen side too early. But he closes it down, and this is a Benoni style structure that I'm very familiar with. I play g6. I'm getting my bishop fianchettoed here, and it's going to play defensive piece the whole game. That's the point in it. That's what I'm aiming for. He plays e4. I guess just playing in the center, just trying to strike. I play bishop g7 as I should. And he puts his bishop here, which I thought wasn't great because it becomes a very passive piece. It's over defending this for no reason. It's not doing anything for this. It's not going to have an easy avenue into the game. It's staring at, a wall. It's staring at a brick wall. And I expected like this at some point, some sort of breakthrough on this side. Maybe like queen here, and then this breakthrough. But but bishop here I just thought was wrong. I thought maybe it belonged on e2 more than it did on d3, serving no purpose. Because this knight does not have any future prospect. It would get kicked around. It can't go forward anywhere. It can only go backwards. But I was never worried about it. So I went ahead and castled. He castled. And then we don't get to novelty until move 8 when I play rook e8. And you see there are other moves here that have been played in the Masters database. But as of move 8, we have a completely new game. It has never been played before at the Master level. But if you go to like my games, I've never played this, and all games ever, no one has ever played to this position. This is completely new, apparently. Oh, never mind. There are 2 games here where white won in both. There was a 60-minute. Oh, it was my games. Oh, I lost both these games. Oh. Okay, yeah. So, wait, I won these games? Hang on. My games is black. I played bishop g5. Someone played bishop. Oh, they played bishop g5. Oh, they played here. Okay. That didn't happen in this game. Anyway, just some fun things to look at. Actually, this game. He plays bishop d2, just getting the bishop out, connecting the rooks. Everything sees each other. I play knight back. It's a common idea. I want to play here, put the knight here, be able to push this without, worrying about any sort of sacrifice. Queen here is an option, trying to trade this bishop off. Everything, there's always something. But he plays rook c1, and I didn't understand rook c1. Maybe it was fine. Maybe it was just activating the rook, putting it on some sort of semi-open diagonal. But, again, rook b1 makes more sense, pushing for this. Because my point is, I'm going to push on the king side. That's why I'm moving all my pieces over there. It's because my pawns are going to move. I'm going to storm with my pawns on that side. What white needs to do in this opening is push with the queen side and try to create an attack over here. That is something he's not doing. And I'm glad he's not doing it because I'm not prepared for it. But I play e5, strike in the center myself, try to keep that closed down. I'm allowing en passant. But if it happens, I'm taking back with the bishop, activating my bishop, getting another piece into the game. There are no threats. He plays h3. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me at all. I played h6, again preparing for this knight to come into the game. He plays rook e1, makes sense, gets his rook active, but he's only got one defensive piece. So if I manage to start attacking over here, he's only got one piece to defend everything. Sure, the queen can get back, the rook can get back, or here, or whatever, but it's going to be too slow. Knight back, the bishop can maybe try to get in, but this bishop's not doing anything. You'd have to play bishop back, and it becomes a passive piece. But here I am. I go knight f8 to h7. I'm getting ready to put this knight here, push this pawn, push that pawn. I'm ready to rock and roll. This queen move made no sense to me when he played it. I saw that he was looking at the b7 square, but my bishop's not moving. Point is, my bishop's not meant to move for a lot of part of this game. In fact, my bishop becomes a sacrificial piece to open up the king at some point once I start, rolling my pawns. So, I guess he was trying to tie this bishop down to the b pawn. I don't know. I wasn't worried about it. My plans, stayed as is. I played g5, getting ready for g4. Takes, knight gets in. And you can't kick it out without playing your knight somewhere like here. And if my knight's not here, then that becomes a free knight. But regardless, I play g5, defended by this knight, and once this knight moves, then it becomes defended by this queen. And then I can play h5, or, because I can move the knight backwards. I can play king h8 and move the knight back here, or king f8 and move the knight back here. But, again, he plays knight backwards. No idea what this move did. None. No clue. Not at all. I go ahead. I play knight h5. I'm anticipating g4, knight f4. And then after takes, I was going to take with the e-pawn and just have two f-pawns and roll them up. Go for it. Because here creates a weakness there. And this is the only bishop he had. This is a strong bishop. This bishop has, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And if it goes here, then sure you get that, but I mean it's got nothing. Meanwhile, this bishop, at some point could have this. It's got this diagonal. It's a long range bishop. This bishop has no range. But he plays knight back, restricting this bishop to 3 squares. And I didn't get it. I had no idea what this move did. Maybe prevented this. Maybe tried to prevent this. I didn't get it at all. So I played my other knight out. Knight f6. And I really wanted to play f5, but the bishop here kind of prevents that. It's a good thing about that bishop being there, but outside of that, the bishop is doing nothing. So he plays knight here, and I thought, well, I could take this knight and open this up because there's no rook here, there's no threat, and this pawn would become a huge weakness and easy to attack. So I did. I took, and then I immediately attacked the pawn. Now he plays knight back, defending the pawn. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I play queen here. Eventually, might have some idea of getting in here. Some idea of, if here, knight here after the bishop takes and the queen takes, and we're getting, somewhere. We're making progress forward. That's my point. Is I want to go forward. Sacrifice the bishop, make this pull, and then get a knight or get my queen here, and now I'm double attacking this again, with no way for my opponent to defend it. So he plays bishop back, attacking the knight. All it does is attack the knight. I go ahead, I play queen over, defending the knight. It's the best move per computer. So I'm not so worried about him taking. I don't think he's going to trade the bishop for the knight. Then he pulls the queen over. I was like, okay, now it's a threat. Now you're threatening to win my knight. So I pull my knight back. He plays bishop here, back to his, this nothing square. It's just an absolutely passive piece. I'm not threatening anything. Like, I'm threatening. I thought about this for a minute because he took some time to make this move, but I was like, oh, I could take with the knight, but then the bishop comes and it pins my knight, and I have no way to really defend it. I can play f5, try to defend it, but then after g4, it becomes a little tougher, and there was nothing really clear there. So I wasn't taking this pawn. If I was taking this pawn, I was going to take it with my queen, try to force some sort of queen trade, and then, start trying to get some pieces off the board, being up the pawn. But right now, each of us, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I still have all 8 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We both have all 8 pawns. We've only traded 1 piece each, and that was a knight for a bishop. Nope, it was a knight for a knight. It's the only thing we traded, and it took us like 16 moves to trade knights. To trade any pieces, it took 16 moves. So I play back, he plays bishop here. Then I begin my push. I play h5. I'm anticipating this. I'm anticipating a g4. He doesn't give it to me. Computer actually calls this a blunder. Actually thinks that this move is just completely wrong because it blunders a pawn. And it blunders a pawn because of g4. Takes, and I take back with the knight, trying to trade this knight off and get the bishop in and hit the queen. It does happen. He plays queen back, and I really wanted to get, this sort of line of sight. But now I'm down the knight, and computer says I should take him back with a pawn hitting the queen. But, computer's going to compute. So I play rook here, preparing this f5 push again. My opponent played bishop back, and I didn't understand this move at all. I didn't get it. I didn't see the point in it. I thought it was a little slow. I thought maybe rook up was better, trying to get some sort of rook action in the game. But he plays bishop back. I play f5 as I've wanted to. I know this bishop is still here, but now this is supported by 3 different pieces instead of just the bishop. He takes, I take with the bishop, he takes back, I take back with the rook, and he slides out of the way. This was the only way for me to win this pawn on g3. I told you it was going to be a long-term weakness. I've got a rook defending this, so I didn't have to worry about losing this pawn back. His light square bishop is gone, so there's no attack on the rook. Everything was looking good. He goes to offer a trade of rooks, and it would make me give up the open file. I didn't want to give up the open file, so I played rook f8. And I thought, cool, now if he takes, I'll just take back, and I'm still defending this. So that's what what happens. And he plays bishop back, attacking my queen. And making me move. And so I move back to f4. And I figured, if he wants the queen trade, the rook is hit. So if he played here, I had, takes rook, he takes rook, but then I would take this with check, and I would be up a piece in the end, because I would still have the bishop. Yeah, while he would either have to defend check or go here. So I'm up one pawn. I'm up on time. I think my opponent has like 12 minutes. I have 17 minutes. He plays bishop back down, attacking my queen again, and I give this check. And when I give the check, I completely anticipate him playing bishop here, hitting my queen, and make me move. Where I would have moved to, maybe here, maybe not. I really don't know. But I know I would have moved. But he plays king h1, which allows this skewer. The skewer of the queen and bishop, which automatically wins a piece. I was looking at queen takes, taking back. I was looking at queen takes here, and then taking this either with the rook or the queen. Just a lot of options. So he takes on h5. I win the bishop for free. And now this rook is hit. And I was thinking like, oh, he played rook here, attack my queen, make me do whatever. But instead, he gives me a check, and I think for a minute. And I know that he's trying to find a perpetual check, which would lead in a draw if threefold repetition. And I didn't want to play for a draw. I thought about blocking here, but then he would have this check again, and I have to go back, because it would just create so many problems for me. So what I did instead was I played king h7. And I thought when I played king h7, there's no longer a check here, because I'll block this way, and he can't give this check because my rook would take. And I was like, perfect. I have my out. So instead of giving me a check, he instead gives me checkmate. Because what he has done with this move is he has boxed his king in, and I didn't see it at first. It took me a few seconds to find it, and I was like, oh, I can just take this pawn. I was like, I'll just take this pawn, I'll beat up the pawns, I'll go on, and I'll win. But then I thought for a second. I looked at his king, and I looked at his queen, and I was like, he can't give me a check because the bishop and the queen work in the same diagonal. And I was like, yeah, the queen moves backwards too. And it was in this position that my opponent, Erman, resigned and said good game. And it was a heck of a game. The only move he has is queen back to block and checkmate. It was a great game by both players. I was nervous the whole time because he wasn't giving me anything. I wasn't giving him anything. He never did the queenside push that most people have to do against the King's Indian. And of course, I had this early c5, which helped. And everyone always pushes. If they ever take, it's generally not great. He just gave me. He gave me chances, and then I kind of made some threats, and he didn't address them. Of course, if I take like this, queen has to move now, and then I'm going here, I'm attacking that. There's no way to attack this. You can go back, and then I'm taking that, and you can take this, but I'm winning it all back in the end. And then I would be up the piece. But yeah, the bishop on c8 was a great piece for me. The bishop on g7 that stayed here the whole time was a great defensive piece, especially in the end, as you saw, it would block all the checks and create all sorts of problems for my opponent. Rook f8 ended up being a crucial move for me. F5 was a great break as far as like pawns go. Not allowing such an easy trade of rooks. he kind of gave it to me with the king over instead of blocking with the bishop, which this is the best move. But it would scare me a little bit because maybe you get something like that, and at that point, I don't know what I'm playing. I don't know. It was just I would not. Well, this isn't the worst move, but I go for like some sort of queen trade, and maybe we trade down. And I was really worried about an endgame. I'm not the best endgame player. I mean, I can play some endgames, and I can lose some, but I'm up a pawn here, so I should be winning. But he's got a slightly more active king, and I've got no way to really defend this pawn. So once he goes here, I have to now start playing with my other pawns, and I'm going to end up losing this pawn. Oh, no, never mind. I would have been completely fine. I would have just been up a pawn. And he can't, this bishop can't go anywhere because my bishop, you know what, maybe this wasn't so bad. Maybe back. Nope, I would not play that. I would just give him another pawn. Here, maybe there. Takes, and, I mean, what's my opponent going to do? I'm going to push this pawn. But what do? You go here? There's something wrong with this. Here. It's not that. I don't know. Anyway, this was my 4th win out of 4 games in the tournament. And I was so relieved after this one because I was like, all right, I'm on top. But then I was like, now there's a target on my back. Now everybody's talking about me. Now I know I'm seen. Now it's like, oh man, what's going on here? The president of the chess club who lost to this guy before, he was like, no way. He's like, oh, that's crazy. Because it was just the 2 of us at the top. And I was on fire. And it was getting later in the day now. People were talking about being tired and all that. And, I was all confident. I was feeling good, but I didn't want to get too cocky because, I was thinking to myself, hey, this is where I throw things. This is where I start losing. But we'll see how round 5 goes in the next one. Until then, thanks for watching.